Hello, Steve White, Trek Boy 89. Well, I procrastinated for 5 or 10 hours before I actually watched episode 2 of Star Trek Discovery Season 3. Not a lot happened. I was really kind of surprised. The episode starts off with a retelling or a teaser, not a teaser, a reminder of what happened last season, which doesn't make any sense. They killed Control yet still left the past and went into the future to save the information from Control, which they destroyed. So I still don't understand why they're there or why the crew all left their lives and their families to be with Michael. So the episode probably would have been better if it didn't remind us of all the flaws from season 2. So we have a crash landing. The Discovery crashes, and it's not as impressive as Voyager's crash in Timeless or Generations. So for the millions and millions of dollars these episodes are supposed to be made for, I'm not seeing it on air. I mean on the screen. So I wasn't impressed. And they are indeed firing on the ground, which is a glacier. So they saw a glacier, they managed to aim for it, and for some reason they seem to think crashing onto ice rather than dirt or trees or something else would be better. They do have shields to begin with, but they fire on the ice, which I don't know what that's supposed to do, because they just end up going straight over the section that they shot at and end up smashing into the ice with the shields, which eventually fail, and then the ship ends up smashing into the ice. Now everyone survives. I think everyone survives. All the main characters survive. All the bridge extras survive. And then of course they realise they have to fix the ship, which of course would be a gigantic task considering it should be considerably damaged because it just smashed through solid ice. Yeah, so I'm expecting a lot of damage, expecting them to be there for a while, and I seem to recall Alex Kurtzman saying that they're actually going to be stuck on the planet. So this looks like a long haul. Now, Tilly and... Actually, there is a funny scene. I did actually like one scene in this episode. Giorgio is basically just... She cannot tolerate Tilly. At least this Tilly. And she... She says what most of us are thinking. How is this woman here? How is she like... And there's even another moment where the security officer from Enterprise, who's now on Discovery because everyone wanted to be with Michael, is like her when she's chosen to do a task, like her, like why would you choose her? She's like the worst possible person you can ask to do anything. She's useless basically. So Tilly has some esteem issues. Saru and Tilly go off onto the planet searching for civilization. Tilly ponders the fact that no one's ever been here before when they're on a planet with civilization, so they tried very hard to pretend like they're boldly going or discovering new worlds or something Star Trek-like, but they're really not. That was just a very stupid conversation, and I don't understand why she would even think that way. Obviously there are future humans who probably explored that planet, and there are people living on that planet with a civilization, so I don't know what that was supposed to be. They follow someone, they get to an area, and then they are beamed into a saloon. And the episode quickly becomes what I hate most about science fiction. Basically, a Western in space is what this is. It's Mad Max in a Western. And they're in a saloon, literally with swing doors and saloon doors or whatever they're called. And of course, there's a bunch of people stuck on the planet who have limited resources, and there's someone who's a courier. What was his name? I can't remember his name. Zara. And he basically takes advantage of them. They put up with him because they can't stop him. But of course, Discovery is going to change all that and fix all their problems. So they ask them for help, and they try not to let on the fact that they're from an ancient ship and they have old technology, and these guys are more advanced than them. They fix their part, And while they're doing that, the courier catches up with them, and the light also goes away because we learn that the ice that they landed in is parasitic, and it's basically growing and is going to envelop the ship as it gets darker. So there's like a rush against time, and there's a lot of Saru trying to negotiate with this courier guy who basically is running the show, and it's kind of awkward because he's trying to be Starfleet in a world where there is no Starfleet and it's not respected, but it's good that he's actually trying to maintain the ideals because the show needs to do this. So if it's nice that there's at least one character is trying to act like they're on Star Trek. So basically Giorgio shows up, and of course she manages, even though she's been shot 3 or 4 times with a slow beam that seems to slowly cook people on the inside, because we see one person killed earlier because he helped the Starfleet people out. And they do know who Starfleet is. They do know what Starfleet is. They know the other guys come in, they know where the ship is, what the ship is, and they very quickly end up being in negotiation for dilithium. And of course Saru's trying to negotiate from a position of weakness, and this guy is trying to take advantage of that, but Giorgio basically beats the crap out of him. And even though she's been shot like I think 3 or 4 times for a few seconds by this laser that cooks you from the inside, she still manages to beat him and everyone else. There's I think 3 people, him and like 2 or 3 other guards or whatever, henchmen or whatever he has. And eventually he's at their mercy, and Saru actually argues for him to be shown mercy. And this proves to the locals that they are actually Starfleet and that they weren't waiting for nothing, because they've all just been waiting for Starfleet to return. And apparently they feel that they actually didn't do this for nothing, because Starfleet has ideals and Saru is an example of them. And there is a bit of a stalemate between Giorgio and Saru for a moment. Well, he challenges her to basically follow his command, and she kind of does, but not really. It's sort of like, okay, I'll humour you for a moment, is sort of her attitude. And they get given a personal transporter by one of the locals. They've been back to the ship because they've been working on the ship. Stamets is injured. He's ended up with Jet Reno because, of course, they hate each other and they get along so well. And the witty banter ensues. He goes into a Jeffries tube to fix something. He manages to fix this one thing. So it's like only 2 things broken on the ship, basically. And they fix those 2 things and they start to lift off. The ice is starting to pull them down. They're kind of lifting up. You think you think, yeah, they'll get there, and they'll just leave at the end of the episode. And then all of a sudden, there's another ship that shows up, and they're in a tractor beam, and they're lifted up, and you're like, oh, this is not going to be good. They are not in a good shape, and they've got future aliens who have captured them. At least the next episode might be interesting. And then what do we see pop up on the view screen? Michael Burnham's face. She's been on the planet for a year waiting for them, and she's come to save them, and they all look at her like she's God, because this is not Star Trek, this is the Michael Burnham show, and it's all about her being amazing and the best, and just, they literally are all like, oh my God, it's Michael, she's come to save us. Oh, it's just sickening. And I'm like, okay, it was slow, but it almost had some tension at the end. I was actually like, oh, what's going to happen next episode? Where's this going to go? Because Kurtzman lied to us when he said they were going to be stuck on the planet. They are apparently going to get off the planet, whether their ship worthy, whether they can fly, whether they can do anything, whether they can defend themselves or be any use. And I just don't buy that the ship smashed into this glacier and yet it can fly after having like 3 parts fixed, internal parts. Nothing to do with the structure, nothing to do, it's science fantasy. You can just crash a ship into a glacier and then fly off a couple of hours later. That's why I don't like this show. It's science fantasy. It's, I'm just wondering, did my focus just go? Doesn't matter. Yep. So the episode was slow. Nothing really happened. They just freed this local community from this guy who's been taking advantage of them, this courier, and they get back to the ship. They get off the planet in one episode, and they get rescued by Michael. That's Discovery for you. Like I said, I put it off for 10 hours. No, 8 hours, no, 10 hours. A long time. I just found everything else I could possibly do rather than watch this episode. Now, and like I said, it's everything I hate about science fiction. It's basically dystopian, Westworld, Western in space, Serenity, all those shows where it's just, people are just on Western planets basically, and just, it's just not Star Trek. It's not, yes, it's just old school Western sci-fi, where they basically just took all the elements of the Western and just put it in a science fiction setting, and yeah, I don't have anything else to say. It's just, yeah. So they show a little preview for the next episode, and it looks like they're getting attacked by the race that has the transgender character, and we don't really see much, and that's really it. They basically just get challenged by someone in space. And one thing that didn't get a payoff, which I don't know if that's going to come up later, is Lisa Left Eye. She had a bit of an injury, even though it was superficial and it was fixed in a couple of seconds in sickbay. She was walking around the rest of the episode like she was in some kind of shock and something was going to happen there, but I don't know. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of the episode. I thought it was just kind of dull, and the ending should have been predictable, but I'm just not stupid enough to think of that sort of Michael Burnham saviour conclusion. I just didn't see that coming. I thought that actually might be an interesting story, but it's just the Michael Burnham show. I'm going to go.